Early one cold spring morning in the forests of Allegheny County, something heartbreaking was unfolding quietly in the tall grass near a small creek. A young doe had just given birth to twin fawns. Both babies were tiny, fragile, and covered with soft white spots. For a moment, everything looked peaceful. The mother gently cleaned them and nudged them softly, encouraging them to stand. One of the fawns slowly pushed itself up and stood on its shaky legs. But the other one struggled. The tiny deer tried again and again to stand, but every time its front leg bent awkwardly beneath it. Something had gone wrong during birth. The leg was injured, and the little fawn simply could not support its weight. The mother stayed beside the injured baby for a long time. She nudged it gently, trying to help it stand. The fawn tried its best, but each attempt ended the same way, a painful stumble back into the grass. The forest around them was beginning to wake up. Birds were calling. Wind rustled through the trees, and somewhere in the distance, a coyote howled. The mother knew she couldn't stay there forever. Predators often roamed the woods of Allegheny County, and staying too long in one place could put both babies in danger. Finally, the moment came that no mother should ever have to face. She gently licked the injured fawn one last time. Then she nudged the stronger twin toward the forest and slowly walked away. Not because she didn't care, but because in the wild, survival sometimes forces impossible choices. The injured fawn was left alone in the tall grass, weak and frightened. About half a mile away, a man named Daniel Harris was walking his golden retriever along a wooded trail. Daniel had lived near the forests of Allegheny County for many years. Every morning before work, he and his dog Cooper walked the same quiet path near the creek. Cooper loved these walks. He ran ahead happily, sniffing every tree and bush like it was the most interesting thing in the world. But that morning, something caught his attention. Suddenly, Cooper stopped. His ears stood straight up. Then he ran off the trail and disappeared into the bushes. "Cooper, wait!" Daniel called, following quickly behind him. As he pushed through the brush, Daniel heard a faint sound, a soft cry. When he stepped into the clearing, he froze. Lying in the grass was a newborn fawn. The tiny deer tried to stand when it saw them, but its injured leg folded beneath it and it collapsed again. Daniel looked around, hoping to see the mother nearby. But the forest was empty. The little deer had been left behind. Cooper slowly approached the fawn and sat down quietly. Instead of barking or chasing it, the dog seemed strangely calm. For a moment, everything was still. Then suddenly, a loud splash echoed from the nearby creek. The frightened fawn panicked. Instinct took over. It tried to run away. But with its injured leg, it couldn't control its movement. The tiny deer slipped down the muddy bank and fell straight into the freezing creek. The water carried it quickly downstream. The fawn struggled desperately, trying to keep its head above the water. Daniel rushed toward the edge of the bank. But before he could do anything, Cooper jumped. Without hesitation, the golden retriever leaped into the icy water. The current pushed against him as he swam toward the struggling fawn. For a terrifying moment, the little deer disappeared beneath the surface. Then Cooper reached it. The dog gently grabbed the loose skin behind the fawn's neck, just like a mother animal carries her baby, and slowly paddled back toward the shore. Daniel helped pull them both out of the water. The fawn was shaking badly and breathing quickly. Daniel wrapped it inside his jacket to warm it up. "Easy there, little one," he whispered softly. "You're safe now." Daniel knew he couldn't leave the injured animal there. He carefully carried the tiny deer home and contacted a local wildlife rehabilitator in Allegheny County for advice. The injury wasn't permanent. The fawn simply needed time to heal. For the next several weeks, Daniel cared for the little deer in a quiet shed behind his house. He cleaned its wound, fed it properly, and made sure it stayed warm. And during that time, something unusual happened. The fawn formed a bond with Cooper. The dog who had saved its life became its constant companion. Cooper sat beside it while it rested and watched closely as the young deer slowly grew stronger. Day by day, the injured leg improved. Soon the fawn was standing, then walking, then hopping around the yard. Daniel knew the moment was coming when the deer would need to return to the forest. Wild animals belong in the wild, even when letting them go is difficult. One quiet morning, Daniel took the young deer back to the same forest trail, where Cooper had first found it. He gently guided the deer out of the truck. The fawn stepped onto the grass and looked around, smelling the familiar forest air. For a moment, it stood completely still. Then it looked back at Daniel and at Cooper, almost as if it understood what they had done for it. After a few seconds, the deer turned and slowly walked toward the trees. Then it disappeared into the forest of Allegheny County. Daniel hoped it would survive. but he never expected what would happen next. A few days later, Daniel returned to the same trail with Cooper. Halfway down the path, the dog suddenly stopped again, just like the first day. Cooper stared toward the edge of the woods. Daniel followed his gaze, and there, standing quietly among the trees, was the young deer. But it wasn't alone. Beside it stood a larger doe, its mother. The two deer gently touched noses before standing side by side. The mother had found her baby again. Or perhaps the baby had found her. For a moment, the three of them, the man, the dog, and the two deer, simply watched each other in silence. Then the mother turned and walked deeper into the forest. The young deer followed closely behind her. Together, finally home, Daniel smiled quietly as they disappeared into the trees. Sometimes nature takes things away, but sometimes, if you're lucky, it gives them back.